Hello, hello. Ederson Oliveira here. This is the DNN monthly chat, and this is the I always lose track of the month. This is the May edition of the chat. I want to welcome the group. I want to start by saying who watches NBA, who watches the playoffs. Nobody?
No, but
Is that
You're
just
looking at the wrong crowd here. I went to a Cubs game for the first time last weekend, and I've been in Chicago for 11 years.
You know what? There's an uproar here in Toronto because we got to the playoffs, and now we are one game away from the finals. So again against Milwaukee. I don't know where Milwaukee is, but hey, they are losing, so I'm fine with that.
It's just north of us.
Just north of us, okay. Just north of you.
Wisconsin, yeah.
Good.
I'll just throw out here. I have some young cousins who live in St. Louis and are just all excited about the hockey finals that their team is in. I think.
Okay. So again, let's move on. That's again, as you said, wrong crowd here. Okay, no problem, Mike. I mean, we gotta do what we gotta do with your camera there. Okay, so again, playoffs. I'm happy. Toronto is about to go for the first time in the finals here. But anyway, moving along here. Let's start with the DNN releases. That's usually where we get things going. So about 20 days ago, so it's not that new anymore. But about 20 days ago, we had the final release of DNN 3.932, which is just a more of a stabilization type of release with minor adjustment, minor fixes there. But it's live, and it's the latest one. It was about 23 days ago. By the way, today is May 24th. Okay, so it's a Friday. Anyway, so again, nothing too much to talk about this release, just a minor release. I don't know if anyone has anything to add to it. I mean, any comments on that?
Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask a question. Maybe you can answer it, Mike. Is this the one where it baked into it? It's going to have the what do you call it? The cookie acceptance, the GDPR thing.
Yeah, the cookie consent, I believe, is built into that one. So you can, at a DNN core level, check off a few boxes, and you'll have one of the cookie consent messages injected into your site. And there's a little bit of flexibility there in how you can set it up, or if you're a developer, how you can kind of extend it even more.
Awesome. Finally, I'm going to have my sites, compliant with GDPR. Is that the GDPR?
I think that's what GDPR. I think.
Yeah. So finally, my sites will be compliant.
Yeah. So
following up to that, 9.4, which is so we can't say as soon as a bigger data consent change as well to piggyback on the GDPR. So for things like tracking when people have consented to terms on the website and that type of thing. So that's another big improvement coming out around that area too.
Joe, you're saying something?
Yeah. I saw a comment yesterday, the day before. I think said that the flexibility for configuring it is still something that really needs to come along, and since I had a major site go down for longer than it should have yesterday because of problems with a licensing server related to a GDPR module.
Okay, good. So again, Mike, you said that on 9.4, that's where some of those will come live. Is that?
Yeah. I do believe in 9.3.2 that there was the cookie consent, and then the follow up to that would be the bigger data consent, I believe is what we're calling it, which would be tracking things like when users consent to terms, and then also I think there's some functionality in there to if someone requests to have their data removed and that type of thing, it will clear the records behind the scenes. I haven't dug into it completely, so I don't have all the details on it, but it looks like there's quite a substantial change coming for that.
Okay. So again, the next major one will be 9.4, and I think that apparently 9.4 will be the precursor of 10. So again, we'll keep talking about that as we go along. But that's it about releases, I think. Let's have a look here at some of the blog posts that went on. So let me see here. So the monthly one that comes out is the DNN Digest, put together by Clint Patterson. Again, also a very good summary of what's going on in the DNN space with a lot of different sections. And again, you should definitely check it out to see in more details. There are a few points that I want to dive deeper a little bit down the road, but you should definitely check out the DNN Digest that is put together by Mr. Patterson every month with interviews, with featured projects, updates. Again, it's a very good summary. I want to quickly move towards a post from Mitchell Sellers, from the Technology Advisory Group. He is talking here in this post about the DNN Platform Update Service. There is I went through this reading here, and this is a service that is hosted somewhere. In this case, I think it's still being hosted by DNN Corp and ESW, and it has a few, I would say, functionalities. Amongst many things, it will let the DNN admin know if there is an update to a module, which version is the update of that module on, so it will allow for that information to come back from this external service back into your DNN website. That's one of the things that this service does. The other thing is that it collects information as well. So the DNN websites, they send information to this service, and it helps to create aggregated information about the DNN installations out there. So it helps you, again, to check what OSs, which versions of OSs are being used there, and that helps to drive decisions in the long run. But this post is also about letting us know that this update service, which is traditionally under the control of DNN Corp and EWS or SW, I never remember. Anyway, under their control, it's moving to a more community-driven control as well. So that's one of the things, and I think that in the next version of DNN 9.4, the next major, well, not the major one, but yeah, DNN 9.4, the service will be hosted and in a more community-driven environment. So that was one of the things here. And again, if you want to get more information, I don't know if any one of you guys have any insight and any input on this one here. Anything?
I really liked that in the post, Mitch actually detailed what the data was that's being collected, because in the past, I don't believe that information was publicly disclosed necessarily. And now he's saying exactly, here's what we're collecting from sites, here's where it's going, what it's being used for. So that was a nice bonus to see there added.
So let me ask you that, Mike, because I'm just slightly confused here. When you install DNN for the first time in the newer versions, there's this checkbox that says help to send information to help improvement. Is this about that?
I think I'm pretty sure it's a separate thing. So you're thinking of the DNN Improvement Program checkbox? Yeah. I don't know a lot about that, to be honest, but this would be a separate service to that.
Got it. So in a way, what he's describing here is not really something optional, is it? I mean, it's something that it's baked in and it's there.
Yeah, so if you looked in your web config of a DNN site today, I believe you'll see an update URL app setting. So I think when this is fully live, newer versions of DNN would ship with that. You could erase that value though and not take part in it at all if you wanted to as well.
I see.
And I think he outlines that. I think he touches on that on the post, or at least on how to change it. So it's baked in, but at the end of the day, it's an optional feature.
I get it.
I think one of the limitations from before was, especially when we went from the Forge in what was that, Codeplex, I guess, to GitHub. I think it worked with the store and with the Forge to update on your extensions page what the latest one was. And then when the Forge went away, it sort of only worked with, I think, the store. And so if you just have a module out there on GitHub and it's not in the store and DNN doesn't know about it, it won't go through the service to get the latest, what's the latest version number that you could upgrade to.
Got it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure that's where it's tied into for sure. And it should be a great thing to have. The more modules that take, I think there were some threads or some comments on the thread there about how can module developers, connect into this too and things like that.
Yeah, even if they might not be on the store, right? Because that's the only way I think right now you can connect to it and publish what your latest version is.
Yeah, exactly. It's my understanding too.
Okay. Perfect. So, and there's also a part of this service that is about the security bulletin lists. So again, there's more information going back and forth from the site to the service, which can be seen under the security bulletin in DNN as well. Okay, so great one from Mitchell. Moving on here, let's see. Let's have a look at some Hangouts. Actually, Mr. Will Stroh, Mr. Mustache Will Stroh, he has, it seems that mustaches are going around, people are becoming hairier and hairier, Scott. What do you have to say there,
Are they just following my lead? I'm not quite sure.
Okay,
I haven't seen Will Stroh's mustache.
well, it's more of the whole 9 yards.
Oh, yes, I have seen that. Yeah, he looks, and he's been working out. Yeah, he looks, I got to follow his lead and bulk up a little bit to match the face and the head. I've tried a few times. It's just too much maintenance. I have enough maintenance in my life to go through. I don't need another one. Anyway, Mr. Will Stroh, he has been busy with DNN Hangout. So in the last month, as far as I could see here, I saw 2 Hangouts. Him, first one, talking with Johnny Gregory. Johnny works at Fortuitous, and he spoke about consulting, sales, community, hosting. Actually, that's where I came to know Johnny quite a few years ago from back then Power DNN and then Manage.com. So that's where I got to know him. I spoke with Johnny in the previous DNN Summit, and he's a very passionate, community-driven guy, so it was a good conversation that I had with him, and this is a great hangout. Again, it's great to see community-driven and passionate people talking about, So again, that was the first one with Johnny Gregory, and then a second one with Will Stroh interviewing Daniel Mettler, and Daniel is introducing something called ASIN. And I almost likely bastardized the concept there, but as far as I understood, ASIN is supposed to be, let me see if I can pull up the website. It's ASIN, like amazing, it's ASIN.org, and it seems to be something like you create checklists and to-dos, and I think it's more about checklists that you can share to different people with different people. Actually, to be honest, I haven't gone through the interview, so I'm reading it. I'm reading it here. It says ASIN is a new tool which allows you and everyone else in the world to generate and share best practices, task lists, to-do lists, and more.
Yeah. So again, I don't know. I got that. So it seems that I can create kind of a recipe for something here. I'm gonna call it recipe, but you can call it a to-do, and then you can share that, and hey, I want to use a recipe to do X, Y, and Z. So yeah, let's see. I have worked with a service that has a paid offering about processes. It's kind of a process, step-by-step process, you know. So I still pay. It's called Process Street, but it's an enterprise. It's not free, not open. This has a bit of a flavor of that, you know, this is my best practice of how to do X, and those are my steps, and I can create a checklist, you know, of that. So let's see. It will be interesting. I mean, again, I love tools that have a very narrow and specific goal objective, you know, and so I'll have a look at that and let's see. But again, Will Stroh interviewed Mr. Daniel Mettler about his amazing tool. Okay, perfect. That's another one here. And of course, as usual, there are quite a few posts about I guess 2Sexy content and Daniel Mettler talking about that. And in the past month, I have been, you know, looking closer and closer to 2Sexy, and I was able to manage to get a blog up and running using the 2Sexy content, using it used 2Sexy content, and then I have to install this app for 2Sexy, which is a blog engine. There were a few hiccups that I had to go through. I still don't grasp certain things on 2Sexy content, so I still have my pet peeves there. But the great thing is that Daniel and Joe, you very gracefully you offered your help as well. But Daniel as well, he reached out and said that you know, he could sit down with me and show things around. I think that 2Sexy needs someone as dumb as myself to really get to understand it and advocate it a bit more, you know. But there are a few things that it didn't quite connect in my head. But again, I'm going for the lowest common denominator here. Okay, so again, I'm not a benchmark for anything. But again, getting to know a little bit more about 2Sexy, and hopefully I can sit down with Daniel and clarify a few points, because I'll be honest, I really want to become a fan of 2Sexy. So many people out there are fans of 2Sexy content. How come I'm not yet? So I want to become. I'm getting there, and Daniel will give me a little push there, and I really hoped to start using it more and more as a replacement to all kinds of modules that we use when we are helping a client or doing something. No, but yeah, there's some things that are still blocking me a little bit, but I'm hoping to break those blocks shortly, maybe with Joe, maybe with Daniel. Well, let's see. More to come on that topic.
Well, I think the way to really get started with 2Sexy content is to ignore all of the cool parts. I mean, start with data and content items and the token-based templates, and just do that. And I'll just throw one out here. If you want a really good introduction, go to the DNN creative part of DNNhero.com and look at some of the tutorials that Andy did maybe 3, 4, or even older years ago, and do something like that. You know, and then you can move from the token-based views to the razor-based views and see how that plays in, and bring your programming skills in.
Yeah.
And I'm a real advocate of, or not advocate is not the right word, but a fan of 2Sexy content. And I'm probably at the 15 or 20% level of understanding all of the fancy stuff. I did a visual query once, and then I kind of have backed off from doing that. But recently, one thing that we never talk about is that in building any module, you have access to all of the data and methods and stuff that's part of DNN, and you can bring that in. I recently was using an event planner module, and I had the need to display some events in ways that didn't really exist in the module. So with some help from the module developer, and it's NA development, the Cart Viper and event planner folks, pointed me to the one big method, which was get all events essentially. And you can do this in a regular module. I chose to do it in Too Sexy Content, mainly because it's so easy to get in and edit the code and just go right back to the screen. You don't have to recompile, you don't have to reinstall or any of that. But once you've got a list of all of the upcoming events, you can easily choose the ones that you want, and then display them and style them. And it works really nicely. So, and you can do that without actually building a module. And I think that's one of the real advantages of something like Too Sexy Content is you drop your data structures and you drop your views into the module and you're done. So it's I find it very useful for things like that.
Yeah, I think that my problem was that I was too much in a hurry, and I wanted to skip the basic stuff, and I wanted to go straight. I have this problem, I need a solution right now. So I just went, I bypassed everything, and I went to the very deep side of the pool without knowing how to swim,
It's called drowning.
Yeah, so that was what happened to me. But again, I'll follow your advice and go slowly. And I think I have access. I have a subscription to that website that you mentioned there. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do we have here? So with the Hangouts, I mentioned both of them: Daniel Mettler, Johnny Gregory, TADUG. The last TADUG that we had the beginning of this month was with Mandeep and his team, and it was about structured content with live visualizer. So again, very good meeting. In a way, I mean, no criticism here, but the kind of interface that a team like Mandeep and his team they put together, this is the kind of admin interface that I admire, because they cut down all the fluffy, all the excessive options in the back end, and their admin interface is so clean, so straight to the point. Now, there are ways that you can dig deeper and you can find more advanced options, but the basic stuff, it's right there for you, it's right there. So again, I'm just gonna mention that briefly here. So again, very good meetup. Good to see a tool like Live Visualizer, which in a way, it has a similar intention as something like Too Sexy Content, or the Evoke one. What is the name of the Evoke one?
Yes, liquid content.
Liquid content, yeah. So again, good meetup. Now, just a quick note. The next meetup will be in 2 weeks. So on June 5th, it will be with Califord talking about the DNN docs, the website that has the the DNN documentation. So again, that's the next TADUG Meetup. Okay, another meetup that happened a few days ago was the SoFried Meetup. I didn't see the recording yet. Maybe they're still gonna release that. But it was with Andrew Hoffling, and it's about DNN dependency injection. Now, this will be a segment of its own, and I want to do this before Scott drops from our call. I want to ask about dependency injection. And as usual, I try to go to the deep end before I build myself up to get to know a little bit more. So before we talk specifics about DNN dependency injection, I want to bring our quiz. I want our quiz to be about that. I'm going to share a link with you guys. And I'm going to ask what I'm going to come up with. I came up with a definition. Not I came up. I have a definition of dependency injection. You're going to say if that definition is true or false. I'm going to share the link with you guys. And you tell me if that is true or false. Please open up that link and let me know. And let me see if I can put the little music here. Let's see if I have that easily. I don't.
Well, at least it's a true or false question, so I have a...
So I'm gonna verbalize the question. Dependency injection is a new way to drink the DNN Kool-Aid instead of having to go to DNN Summit or DNN Connect to get your Kool-Aid. Now you can get it as an injection and it will take effect immediately. So is that true or false, Scott?
Okay. Here's my answer. Just look at the audience view.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you guys think? As what you're trying to say is, so you don't have to go to the Summit or the Connect to get your Kool-Aid.
That's the dependency. I mean, you create this dependency with DNN just by injecting the DNN Kool-Aid, you know?
No, that's what this is. This is what all you need to do is listen to this every month, and you don't have to go to any events. This is the DNN Kool-Aid right here.
A new product, you know. I always wanted to do a physical product, and nothing better than some drugs, you know.
So do you know, or do you own the domain DNN Kool-Aid?
No, but give him 5 minutes.
Actually, don't do it. That's a copyright infringement. You're not allowed to.
It's good that we're recording this to be shown later, so you have time to go claim the domain before somebody else snags it. Right. But I think for DNN Summit next year, they ought to have cans of DNN Kool-Aid available.
I believe so. I believe so. Now let's get more to a more serious context here. Dependency injection. Again, I have so many points here about that. First is that it was the SoFried Meetup with Andrew Hoffling. He was talking about that. And I don't know if any one of you guys can talk about this, but let's start with the high level here. What is the big deal with dependency injection? Why this is so important to cross that bridge between where we are right now and where we can potentially be with a potential DNN in a .NET Core environment? Why is that a big deal?
Well, I'm not quite sure why it's a big deal right now. I need to watch that. I missed that, and in fact, I registered for that, but I just couldn't make it. I was on a train during that meeting. But I mean, as a whole, dependency injection, and correct me wrong, Mike, if I'm wrong, Mike, but it allows you to to swap out functionality. You know, it's like interface driven functionality. So maybe that's a too high level of concept, but you know, imagine that, you know, we just talked, what was this, the service we just talked about, like a service like the upgrade service or something.
Update
Service or something. It would allow us to easily be able to modularize those type of pieces, or maybe an analytics service, or maybe something like that, or components, right? That you can easily swap out as long as they carry the same interface. You can swap out implementations much more easily using configuration rather than having to rebuild everything, you know. But Mike, if you know maybe a more specific point about why we need to get the .NET Core dependency.
Yeah, I was in the I attended the presentation, and I would look at the work right now that Andrew has put in as kind of a bridging step. So
the .NET Core, right?
To .NET Core, exactly. Yeah. So there's a couple pieces there, I think. With 9.4, the .NET Framework version, the minimum .NET Framework version for the DNN platform has increased. And he's contributed a piece of work that lets you use basically the native .NET Core dependency injection code inside of DNN. And what that's going to enable, he's actually implemented it for the MVC module pipeline. So all the MVC modules will go through this new dependency injection, we'll call it a layer. But other than that, right now, nothing's really taken advantage of it. The idea is that over the next couple versions, we can slowly, as Scott mentioned there, the decoupling. So right now, a lot of the DNN code
it's using the service locator, right?
Service locator.
Yeah.
That's there today. Andrew was talking about, I'm no expert on dependency injection, but he was talking about how it didn't implement a lot of the best practices. Whereas this model is implementing exactly what Microsoft is saying, here's our best practices going forward. So it's the start of a slow, you could take parts of DNN, like Scott was mentioning. You know, today we have a provider model where you can swap out login screens or login controls. So think of like swapping out instead of functionality that you see, but behind the scenes. Yeah. So that I can, you know, if I decouple my views in DNN, like my logic, my business logic and things like that, technically I could then take that code and bring to any other .NET application and have a good starting point, versus today where everything is so tightly, tight knit. It's going to be a significant effort to decouple it. So it's really trying to make the behind the scenes more streamlined so that you can move around. And also, if you can do that, you can do things like unit tests a lot easier, so that you can run automated code tests, so that you can, not necessarily use production resources. You can point to
mock up
exactly
components, right? Yeah.
So really, from an end user's perspective, there's no real big benefit at the moment. From a developer's perspective, there's another tool that's based on industry standards that'll help if you follow it. You can write code that'll be a little bit more modular going forward as DNN starts to pivot and go down the next path.
Got it. So again, just to kind of summarize in a very high level, as Scott was saying, this dependency injection thing is really a way to start to decouple and create really modularized parts of DNN that can be easily switched out later on down the road.
Yeah, and I guess the significance for us moving forward to .NET Core would be like integrating in .NET Core dependencies and swapping them out inside the DNN API. Whereas, so it's not one monolithic, we got to rewrite the entire DNN API all at once and then push that into one release.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm still coming to grasps as to how dependency injection really works from a coding level perspective.
I would say a good example, Anderson, like Andrew did create a few sample projects for all the different module types. So there's some great developer documentation there. But like if you're writing a classic web forms DNN module, and in the page on load, you are talking directly to the DNN API or something else, a completely different dependency, you're tightly coupled there. This would basically, this isn't 100% proper technical terms, but put a layer in between you. So, everything behind that layer back here could change, but if my view control only cares about this interface, this layer in the middle, then all I really have to do is I never have to update that. All I'd have to update is behind that layer. And from a server side backend developer's perspective, it absolutely adds overhead to building and things like that, extra things to do. But later on in the future, it makes life a lot easier too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
In the long run, things will improve. So again, it's a good segue because as you said there are a few articles that Andrew put together: DNN Dependency Injection, .NET Core, and then DNN Dependency Injection MVC modules, DNN Dependency Injection SPI and Web API modules, and then DNN Dependency Injection Web Forms modules. So there's there are quite rich articles that he broke down on all different kinds of scenarios here. So again, great stuff here from Andrew, really, Great. Okay, so that's in a way that summarize the last part of the blog posts, the news. There's also a post from Mitchell Sellers, and again, it's talking more about core dependency injection in DNN and refers back to a lot of what Andrew Hofflin has done as well. So in a way, this summarizes these points. Let me see. Let's move to the events. As I mentioned, DNN TADUG Next Meetup, I already mentioned that. DNN Connect is about to happen, and it's about to happen actually in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks time frame, everybody will be there. Scott, you gonna be there? I mean, when are you gonna travel, Scott?
I'm leaving on the 4th.
The 4th. Awesome.
So I will be there. I'm doing a little bit different than David Poindexter. If you follow him on Facebook, he's already there and having fun and taking beautiful pictures. I'm doing my vacation sort of mostly after the conference. But yeah, the conference on the 6th, right? I think, and then I'll have the next week to take pictures and get you all jealous.
Good. Okay. Talking about pictures, as you said, you mentioned about our friend Dave Poindexter, so I'm just gonna show the picture that I had taken with him about two days ago. Yeah, so we had some.
Oh, when he stopped off on his way, yeah, in Toronto.
Yeah, we had some fun here. So he stopped by. He had to visit a client, and he mentioned to me, and I said, okay, I'm gonna drive half an hour to see you downtown. So we had some fun downtown. Always good to see peeps face to face. Mike, I don't know to put you on the spot, but I think that you are about to come, or you came already, no?
No, yeah. So we were planning on coming this month. It's up in the air right now. It's we're trying to buy a house now for a little while, and we're actually looking at one tonight at 5. So if I buy a house, I probably will be postponing my trip a little bit. So it's still up in there. We want to come. So I'm just gonna see how the next little bit unfolds here. But of course, if I do come to Toronto, I can't come and not see you, Anderson. Come on.
Awesome. Schedule that. Okay, so that's DNN Connect. Again, I hope that all of you have a good time on DNN Connect in a beautiful place. Enjoy the outdoors. I hope that you do some business there. I mean, I hope that you talk shop as well, not only have fun, but I know that the fun levels there seems to be very, very high, and that's why I guess that Mr. Wilkinson is not missing any events there. It's always there now. It seems so. Okay, great. So just a quick mention here: DNN Summit as well, scheduled for next year. I don't know if there are dates already, but again, sunny Orlando. Yeah, that will be an interesting one. I hope that I will be, actually February 24th, 26th already. That's good.
Yeah, I'll be going to that one, I think.
That's good. Yeah, I should go. I should go to that one. Awesome. And more will come as we get to know more about this one. So Open Fridays are still going strong. Actually, we are right now in the middle of DNN Open Friday. So I hope that people are asking questions. Joe, I hope that you are, answering some questions there. Again, DNN Open Friday is you can sign up at, let me just put this up at deskpal.com/open. It is our attempt, a little attempt to get the community together in a more online, real-time way to help each other, asking questions, answering questions. It's a Slack group. If you go to this URL, you can sign up, and that's it. You can join the group. Scott, if you have to go, that's fine. Again, but we're going to the last segment here. Let me start with you then. So again, all done here. Scott, what's new? What's exciting? Anything from your side?
Well, I'm going to check out after all the Twitter hype after MS Build. Sean Walker kind of announced this Octane Framework. Did you guys talk about that while I was gone? Probably not. Okay.
No, but David was talking to me a little bit about that. I mean, do you have any insights into that? What's that about?
It looks like, and I'm looking at the GitHub page. It's based on the demo he did at the DNN Summit of how to build a quote unquote framework, web framework, or CMS on Blazor. And that's what it appears that this is. And so starting from there and building it out. And I noticed in his one of the posts he put out, he said, this is not necessarily the new DNN because that's really run by Mitch Sellers. It's up to him how that direction goes and how that migrates. But I guess he's going to start building out a new, web framework on Blazor.
No one knows how to do that better, I guess, than him, no?
Yeah, so who knows? Whether we take these concepts and move them back over or I don't know. Yeah, so it's interesting, and I'm going to start looking more into it.
I'm going to share a link about that. I'm going to look for it and share a link in the show notes. Great, Scott. Yeah. Okay, Joe, anything there? Anything else? Anything from your side new and exciting?
Well, I've gotten back to this sort of thing recently.
Let me blow up your screen, your view here. Okay, show that again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And this eventually is targeted to live in my car.
What's the goal? What's the plan?
The immediate goal. Let's see. It's got a USB disk there, flash disk plugged into the back. That's full of music, and so I want to be able to take my music and play it in the car easily. And then there are some next steps that have no end and cost large amounts of money once you get done with it. But essentially, you can interface something like this to whatever the master connector is up under the dashboard that gives you access.
Got it.
The
ODB port, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So I probably won't get much further than what I've got now, but I've got a whole list of other things it could do.
Cool.
Awesome.
Including a touch screen, but
nice. Okay, good. Mike, your turn. What's up? What's new?
There's always a lot on the go. Still looking at buying a house. Personal life, that's consuming a lot of our time and a lot of excitement, a lot of frustration too. It's a big step. Other than that, I just working hard. I've got I sent out some interesting tweets later today actually about some products I'm working on for the last little while. So if you're interested there, check out my Twitter.
Okay.
Other than that, just living life.
Living life. Okay, nothing wrong with that.
And Anderson, I forgot one thing. In the DNN world, I recently took live 2 sites. One is 9.2.1 and the other is 9.3.1. And what I learned this morning is I have to upgrade both of them now.
Okay. Good. So we're gonna have some fun with upgrades, no? Awesome. Okay, so just to wrap up, what's new, what's exciting in my world, in my small little world, is this guy. Actually, let me maximize this here. Man, let me tell you, this is so nice what Microsoft has, there on Azure for cognitive services. I've started with this book after the first chapter. And this came up with a friend, and this is just for the fun of it. I mean, there's nothing serious here, but there's so many services in the cognitive services of Microsoft. Things like you can send an image and it can describe the image. It can give us back the text of the image just via REST API. And what I put together was this little, again, just a test. Guys, if you want to try this, the link is there in the chat. I've called that Moody. What this Moody is doing is that I'm getting via Bing API, I'm getting the top 50 news in the world. And then, so I get the headers and the description of those news. And then I send that list to the sentiment analysis of cognitive services of Microsoft. And then for each news, it tells me back if it's a positive news, if it's a neutral news, or if it's a negative news. At the end, I do the average of all the news, and I say, hey, the mood in the global politics is positive, neutral, or negative. And then you can click on news, and you can see the news. But again, just a fun little project that I just wanted to experiment with cognitive services. And again, it's fantastic, the kinds of stuff that you can do very easily. I mean, if I was able to code this, I mean, come on. What else? What can you guys do? Again, so great stuff here. Great stuff. And again, I don't know. This was just after the first chapter. Imagine when I'm done with the entire book. I mean, what else? What wonderful stuff will I be doing here? Guys,
Skype has some really good, they're showcasing a lot of that functionality in Skype these days where you can do real-time translation of meetings, and it will spit it out as closed captions. So you can, I can talk to you in Spanish or Portuguese. There you go. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great. Again, sentiment analysis is not that accurate yet, I think. I mean, things like there's a die in the title and it's positive. Hey, maybe it's Trump. Oh, sorry. I mean, no. I love him. Okay, I love him. Guys, again, great to have you guys around. Anything else? I mean, or can we depart? Crickets.
Yep.
Crickets. Guys, we are good. Thank you very much. Enjoy the beginning of your summer. Enjoy June. We talk again at the end of June. Cheers. Hasta la vista. Bye.
Take care.